Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Doug Brunke dialing in, zooming in from Global Chamber headquarters in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. Thank you all around the world for watching today. We have an important conversation about foreign currency transactions. What I have found over the last couple decades is that not enough companies take payments and receipts in foreign currency, and that's a lost opportunity. So what we're going to hear today is from the world's best, American Express, around international payments and receipts. Today we've got Andy Schmitt and we've got Dylan Spehler calling in from New York City, and they're going to be talking out to you in the world about some of the things that you can do to improve your bottom line, get more benefits, and how exactly you can be much more effective with foreign currency. Gentlemen, good morning. I hope all is well.
Morning, Doug, and thank you for that introduction. Hi, and good morning to everyone on the call. So this is Dylan Spehler over at American Express, and I want to thank all of you for joining the presentation this morning. As well, again, as a special thanks to Doug and Cesar and the folks at Global Chamber for having us on. So I've now worked at American Express's foreign exchange unit for 4 years. And as you can see, there it is, in my introduction, I focus mainly on partnership and business development, really looking to grow our business by leveraging the strong capabilities and value that the FXIP platform has to offer. So one of those opportunities, obviously, trying to tap into the vast membership base of Global Chamber, and I'm going to pass this over to Andy, who has been with American Express now for 8 years. Andy is now one of the top sales leaders on our team, and he manages the Eastern region. So Andy is going to really go over the product, the value. He's also going to walk you guys through a demonstration of the product just so you can see really how intuitive and easy to use it is. And overall, just I think help show you how this product could help with your bottom line, help, basically help you in the foreign exchange business. And Andy, why don't you take that away?
Thanks so much, Dylan. I appreciate the introduction. Doug and Cesar, thank you for having us. We're extremely excited to be presenting to the base of the Global Chamber. My name is Andy Schmitt. I've been with American Express for 8+ years. For many years, I was in a sales role, in a business development role. I was introducing clients to our service, specifically focusing on a tailored approach to their foreign currency needs and speaking to them about not only their outgoing foreign currency needs, but both their incoming needs, hedging their foreign currency exposure, and really coming up with a customized approach to those needs. Prior to that, I spent a lot of years in the foreign currency business on the prop sales side, and that was dealing with individual traders. So I do have a lot of experience in foreign currency, both on the transactional side like we're in now and on the trading side. Hoping that can be of value to you all today. So I'm going to dive right into the presentation, and we're going to talk about a few things today. I'm going to start, if my screen cooperates, by talking about the FX International Payment Service. So American Express is one of the largest global brands in the world. It's funny because our service itself, the International Payment Service, has been around for about 15 years now. However, we date back to Ellis Island when it came to the earliest American immigrants coming over, having to convert currency. American Express was the desk that was doing it. So when you talk about longevity, this is something that we have been doing for quite a long time. We actually have a picture in the office that I wish I could share, but it's around the corner, showing the American Express currency desk on Ellis Island. It's quite an impressive thing, especially when we get to look out the window and see Ellis Island from our office. So what we've progressed into is a service that deals with over 110 countries. We deal with 80+ currencies. I think that's actually grown to about 100 now. the volume that we move is over $17 billion in an annual year. Now, PowerPoint's not my favorite thing. This is a lot of information on a slide, but as with any other commodity, volume is key. So buying in volume allows you to gain access to very competitive exchange rates, just like you're buying anything else, any other product. So $17 billion in global transactional volume per year is a very high number. It allows us to use that purchasing power and have our customers gain access to the great exchange rates that we offer. So we operate in 5 markets worldwide, 20,000 plus customers, and that's continuing to grow. I bet that would be exponentially greater if we look today. And what we really pride our service on is the support. So currency, once again, is a commodity. Our goal is to turn this service into a tool for you that not only gives you insight into the market, but also gives you support that's in line with the world-class service that American Express offers. And how we do that is our clients aren't dealing with 1-800 numbers. Our clients don't have to call into a call center and go through a few different prompts to get an answer to their question. We offer 24-hour service 5 days a week while these currency markets are open. And what that means for you is you'll have a dedicated point of contact, a warm body that's sitting somewhere in the United States, whether it be in New York or on the West Coast, that you can reach out to, that you will be aligned with and assigned to. Anytime you have a question or an issue, you reach directly out to that person. It's something that you don't see quite often, and us being a part of American Express, this large global machine, this is very much operating like a boutique shop within this large organization. It allows us to give that very, very hands-on approach and to take very good care of our clients. So I'll talk a little bit about the transaction flow, how the service works. We're going to get into a demo in just a little while, and I think that's where the real value is going to come in. But for the sake of the slides, I will walk you through this piece. We look at just a very basic foreign currency transaction in 2 different ways. You can be a company that is selling goods that you purchase overseas, and you receive an invoice, and you have to make a payment to that supplier. How do you get that money to them? Well, generally people deal with their bank. They have money on account with them. They've been dealing with them for years. They're comfortable with their contacts there, and that's great. We certainly don't look to disrupt any banking relationships. However, we offer a tool that's a very simple to use online platform that allows you to go in, and let's say you are a high-end shoe seller and you're purchasing goods from Italy, whether it be supplies or finished product. When you receive an invoice, if, say, that invoice is in euros and you have a euro need on a monthly basis, our platform allows you to go in with complete transparency and get a quote. So you can go in and you have an invoice in hand. You can use our service to get a quote, compare that to your current provider or your bank, and see what the best option for you is. Now, one of the key benefits outside of the transparency that we offer is the membership reward points. So American Express is world-renowned for their membership reward program. These are points that can be used for a number of different things. The greatest value is with travel, international travel. Many people use it for gift cards. Whatever it is you use your points for, points can now be earned on these foreign currency bank wires that you have to do anyways. And the way we do that is these payments are not going on to your American Express card in most cases. We give you access to the platform. You input the beneficiary that you need to pay or your supplier, and we then debit your U.S.-based business bank account. So it's a good funds model. We take it out of your bank account. We then convert your dollars into that foreign currency, euros in this case, and we deliver those funds via the FedWire system into the foreign beneficiary's bank account. Now, we do also have a program that we could touch on a bit later that allows you to use an eligible corporate card through American Express to fund these transactions. That is more of a cash flow tool It does have some intrinsic benefits in earning membership reward points one-to-one and the float. It does also have a fee structure attached to it, which is a bit different than the classic foreign currency model. But I don't want to put too much out there right now. In its simplest and purest form, the FXIP service allows you to pay your foreign vendors when invoiced in foreign currency using our platform, gaining competitive rates and membership reward points. The points are earned on a 30-to-1 basis. So for every $30 in foreign currency that you send, you earn 1 point. But as you can imagine, that adds up over time. Now, the other side to this are those businesses that are selling products overseas and receiving incoming wires. Incoming foreign currency wires are often looked over by businesses. And it's simply because the money comes into your bank account, the funds get converted, and you get the dollars in your bank account. Ultimately, that's what you care about. What it leaves out is transparency. With American Express and the International Payment Service here, we allow you to utilize our foreign currency bank accounts. So you can have your suppliers pay euro or other qualified currencies into the selected foreign currency bank account. When we receive those funds, what we do is we reach out to you and we say, customer, we have received 100,000 euro that you would like converted into US dollars. Here is the current market rate. This is the rate that you would receive. Do we have your permission to transfer this? If yes, then great. We do that conversion and we put it into your US-based bank account. What that means for you, though, is not only is there a potential that you can gain a more competitive rate, but you're going to earn membership reward points once again for getting paid. So you're earning points on this 30-to-1 basis for getting paid for product you're selling overseas. I just want to let that sink in for a moment. It's not an outgoing wire, it's incoming and you're earning points. It's something that no one else can offer. It's absolutely a differentiator for American Express and the International Payment Service, and it's something that adds a tremendous amount of value. We see redemption values ranging, and it really does depend on what you use them for. But these points are points that can be reinvested back into the business, used for business travel, sales incentives, gift cards, things of that nature. So it's extremely important. The other piece that I'll speak to a bit more once we get to the demo are those invoices that you receive from overseas, but that are sent to you in US dollars. So you're buying product from the Eurozone, yet when you buy that, you receive an invoice in US dollars. The supplier that's sending that invoice to you has to hedge their exposure. So oftentimes they build in a buffer, which could make sending US dollars more costly than sending their local currency. And I'll show you what I'm talking about when we get onto the platform, but I just want to put that out there for now. So I know I touched on a bunch of this already, but I do want to talk about the products and services. We talked about outgoing and incoming wires. Draft payments, while being somewhat antiquated, are still very much used in the business world, especially the international business world where checks are required. So a draft payment is very simply a foreign currency check. And an incoming cash letter would be a foreign currency check that you receive that you need to convert into US dollars. All available within the American Express International Payment Service, which I must mention is non-contractual, it is online-based, and it allows you to use it when you need to with no monthly, annual, or maintenance fees. Now, outside of the very basic functions that we have of outgoing and incoming wires, draft payments, and cash letters, we have some risk management tools. So we have forward contracts. These can be outgoing forward contracts, incoming forward contracts. Essentially, this allows you to buy or sell currency at today's market rate and use that in the future. So if you have a large order that you have to pay for in 6 months, but you think today's rate is favorable, you're able to go into our system, get a quote, and if that makes sense to you, you can lock in that rate so that in 6 months when you have to buy that product, your cost is fixed. You know what the exact US dollar amount is to you, and at the time of the payment, we would debit your bank account. When you're actually using those funds is when we would debit the bank account. So what that allows you to do is hedge any currency movements that happen in between now and then. And it can work both ways, but if the exchange rate was to move in a manner that would make this exponentially more expensive at the time that you actually have to make that payment, this foreign currency contract would allow you to have hedged that risk. It's a very nice thing. We offer them in two different ways, fixed and forward contracts. Essentially, you can have a set date that you want to draw it down, or you can have an open window that allows you to draw it down throughout the course of that time frame. And then we have some other tools that allow you to lock in a payment, lock in a certain amount of currency to make payments throughout the day. That would be an intraday spot payment, and you can schedule future payments. Now, the platform was designed to be very easy to use, very simple, but it does offer a very complex reporting package. It'll house every transaction that you ever do in the system. It has a lot of bells and whistles that I'm not going to get into now because we're going to look at it real time. I'll talk a little bit about our strengths. American Express is a household name. It's a trusted leading brand, that's for sure. We have a global reach and presence. Membership reward points are key. No other business that allows you to send or receive foreign currency wires or forward contracts will allow you to earn American Express membership reward points. It's a key differentiator. One thing that's not on this slide is something that we take a lot of pride in, and that's a Net Promoter Score. A Net Promoter Score essentially is how our clients rank us against the other products offered by American Express. And what I can tell you is that we have the highest Net Promoter Score of all American Express products. So when we stack rank us against card, merchant services, or anything else, the international payment service comes out on top, which is really, really both a proof of the value that we add and the service that we offer, but it should be something that's very comforting to our client base and to any prospects that are looking into our service. So I do see a question here, and I want to answer these real time because I want this to be as interactive as possible. So Danaji has a question about American Express offering multi-currency accounts. So while we don't offer multi-currency accounts at the time, what the future holds, I don't know. It could be a potential. However, many people, as opposed to using a multi-currency account, which could have a complex fee structure, is housed overseas, they choose to use forward contracts instead. So I know it's not the same thing, but it is an alternative. When it comes to sending or receiving international wires, I think that was the second part of your question, foreign currency wires, whether it be an outgoing wire or an incoming foreign currency wire, generally do not carry a fee. So this is a spread-based model, obviously. That's how any business would make their money on foreign currency, but we generally do not charge a fee for foreign currency wires. We take a very hands-on and tailored approach to each one of our clients, and we work through that as a part of the onboarding process and when we talk about your needs and your current providers. Please keep the questions coming, guys. I'd love to do this real time. This is good fun. So I'll talk a little bit about our top currencies, countries, and industries. I'm not going to spend too much time here because the foreign currency world really does touch every industry. It may not only be importers and exporters. It could be businesses in the U.S. that outsource employment. So if you have a group of, if you have a call center, say, in some country overseas, and you have to make payroll, we can do that as well. Importers and exporters do make up the major component of our client base, though. If you have foreign offices, that's also something that intercompany transfers would become part of. I see we have some questions on the Q&A button as well, so let me pull that up here. All right, so let's go to Global Chamber Tokyo. Thank you for the question. 30 to 1 means that for every 30 units of currency, we receive 1 unit back. It's a great question. So the 30-to-1 ratio on foreign currency transfers means that for every $30 US dollar equivalent of currency sent, you earn 1 membership reward point. So if you send the equivalent of $30 of euro, you would earn 1 point. And you don't necessarily have to have a corporate card. You would have to have any American Express card that we can put these points onto. So it would have to be a membership rewards eligible American Express card. Okay, how are the currency exchange rates calculated? That was the next question. Are you the same as others, or is there an edge for you too? Very, very good question. So currency, like many industries, is a volume-based business. Our foreign currency rates, the way we take this approach is we give you access to the platform. Based on your volume, we aim to give you the most competitive rates as a part of a full suite of the value that American Express is going to offer. So you can go in at any time, and as we're going to see in just a little while, you will see the exchange rate and the time frame that we give you to go and check us compared to your current provider, the market, whatever it is. So the key for us is we can tell you we're going to give you the best score in the world, and that's great. However, we're going to give you the tool and the transparency. Next question, how is the Net Promoter Score calculated? Ooh, that is a tough one. So what I can say is there are a number of questions that are asked on a uniform basis to our client base and to the client base of American Express that utilize other products or other services that we offer. And when those points are compiled, when the questions are answered, that is how the calculation is done. To be completely honest, I'm not sure of the exact math behind it. I simply know that based on the answers and the responses from our clients, that we do have the highest score. Global Chamber of Tokyo, once again, who do you prefer the contact person to be on our side? What position, what level? Excellent question. So we generally work with CEOs, CFOs, depending on the organization. We also often start with the accounts payable group because those are the folks that are processing these wires. So it really is anybody who is involved in the process of making these foreign currency transactions. The decision maker ultimately is going to be, if a smaller business, the owner, or a CEO or a CFO. And is there a cap on the amount of points earned in a year? So there is a cap, and the cap is not on points earned in a year. The cap is earned on a per transaction level. And I'm going to highlight this when we get into the demo later, but it's fine to address it now. It's a great question. It's a fair one. So the cap currently is for every $120,000 in a transaction, which would earn 4,000 membership reward points. That would be the cap. And it's on a transactional basis. So if you did 4 payments of $120,000, you would earn 16,000 points. If you did $150,000 as a payment size, as opposed to 120, you would earn 4,000 points. All right, I think that takes care of those questions for now. And please keep them coming, but I'm going to move on to this slide here. So, target prospects, jewelers, consumer electronics. Essentially, it's any business that has any exposure overseas, whether it be employees, products bought, products sold. We deal with all the majors, yet we deal with a large number. We have 12 majors listed, but over 90 currencies. So as you can imagine, as long as it's not a non-sanctioned country, odds are we're able to deal with them. So now I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a moment, and I'm going to open up our live demo. And that's where I really want you guys to jump in and give me as many questions as possible, because I'm going to give you the standard walkthrough. But I want to hear what you guys have questions about and how it's relatable for you. So bear with me one moment here. All right. So this is the platform. Once again, when this platform was developed and we recently revamped it, the goal was to keep this as simple and user-friendly as possible. So as you can see here, we have a lot of tabs up top a lot of options up top, but many people come into our platform once they get set up for the service, which is a simple online application, and they simply work off of these quick links. Now, the quick links allow you to create a swap payment, which is what I'm going to show you first. And I'll walk you through what an outgoing wire would look like. And we can do the same for an incoming wire. Essentially, if you received an invoice in, let's say, euros, you are going to plug in that you would like to quote the cost of 100,000 euros. The currency is foreign currency. Settlement method is ACH. What that means is we're going to do an ACH debit out of the business's checking account, and we are going to deliver those funds generally the next day, depending on the timing of your payment. We base our days on 4:45 p.m. Eastern Time. So what we have here is this request a quote screen, and I saw a question come in. I'll get to you in just one moment. But with this request a quote screen, you are able to get a quote, and keep in mind, these are not live rates. This is a demo environment. It's purely indicative. But you are able to get a quote that generally has a 2-minute time frame on it. And from there, we would normally have all of your beneficiaries pre-stored as a part of the early calls that we have with you. And you would have a list of your beneficiaries here. However, if you have a new beneficiary, you would simply input the information here and utilize this bank lookup tool, which allows you to search based on, let's say, Italy. Would allow you to search on the IBAN number. And by typing in the IBAN, it would identify that. And when it does pop up here, you would click on that and all of the banking details would be populated. Now from there, you would simply have to scroll down to the bottom of the screen and hit accept. That would action the payment. That would tell us that we are authorized to ACH debit your business's checking account, and we would get that wire out the door for you. No additional work on your side. And if your rate does expire, you simply requote to get the most up-to-date market rate, and that's it. So all in all, when your beneficiaries are preloaded, you're talking about payment times of under 30 seconds, which timing is everything. With these payments, you don't want it to be something that's time-consuming, and this is a very fast option for you. So let me take a look from Global Chamber Tokyo. You have a question regarding how we interface with e-commerce sites. So the question reads, one of our members sells to over 100 countries, all in dollars. Are they a candidate? How do those real-time questions you mentioned work for this application? So they sell to over 100 countries, which would lead me to believe that they would have incoming wires in US dollars, in which case an incoming wire in US dollars, we wouldn't add too much value. We would essentially just be another link in the chain, meaning we would receive those US dollars and we would send the dollars to their existing US-based bank account. We wouldn't add too much value there. However, what we would be able to do is take on a more consultative approach and talk to them about the benefits of receiving incoming foreign currency wires. What that may do is open them up to a broader client base and make the payment options for their clients much easier. So if they're selling products to let's say, I'm thinking somewhere fancy. I'll go with Italy because that's my go-to. If they're selling products to someone in Italy and they are able to give them an invoice in both euros and US dollars, that client may be more apt to purchase from them. Or they may open the door to new clients. And we would be the tool that they use to receive those incoming euros. So all in dollars would be tricky, but we would want to have a conversation with them about the benefits of receiving foreign currency, both for them and for their clients. So their clients may be more apt to buy their product if they have that option. And for them, they would be earning membership reward points on these incoming wires. Thank you for the question. So moving back to the platform, that's your very basic standard outgoing wire. What I like to show about the platform is that we have multiple levels of approval. So when I talk about taking a tailored approach, we give clients the option to tell us how their account should be set up. Meaning, if accounts payable is going to create a payment, if the CFO or someone at a different management level wants to go in and review that payment and approve it before it is actioned and taken out of the business checking account, they have the ability to do so. It's very nice. So they can click on approve a payment and get that payment out the door. I'm going to go back to this create a spot payment screen once again. Because one thing I want to talk about is sending foreign currency as opposed to sending US dollars. I touched on it earlier. But so many businesses right now receive invoices in US dollars from their overseas suppliers. And it could be anywhere in the world. It could be outside of the Eurozone. It could be China. It could be anywhere. They receive these invoices in US dollars because of simplicity. But what happens is those suppliers that are sending the invoice, once they receive those US dollars, in most cases, they will need to take that and convert it into their local currency. So if you're buying product from Japan and they receive your dollars, they would go to their bank and they would then convert that into Japanese yen. What does that mean? It means they have exposure. If the currency devalues, they may get less than they had initially planned on when they change those dollars into Japanese yen. So how do they combat that? Oftentimes what they'll do is they'll build in a buffer. And what I mean by that is they'll say, we need to receive X amount of Japanese yen, but we're invoicing them in dollars. We need to build in X% to make sure that we protect our margins and we make sure that we receive this amount of Japanese yen. So what that means for the person that's making that purchase is they may be paying more when they're sending US dollars. So what we advise many of our clients to do, or suggest that they do, I should say, is that they ask for an invoice in both US dollars and the local currency. So we'll use Japanese yen for this example. By doing that and having access to this platform that you can use as a tool to make sure you're getting the most cost-effective option, you can come into the platform and you can say, okay, I have an invoice for $100,000. I know what that's going to cost me. It's going to cost me $100,000 plus the fee, right? Now, let's take a look and see what X amount of Japanese yen would cost me. So if I go to Japanese yen, and let's say I received an invoice, I'm just going to quote $1 yen here. Let's say I received an invoice for 1,950,000 Japanese yen. The tool allows me to compare the cost of the Japanese yen to that $100,000 cost that is fixed, the US dollar amount. If in fact they did build in a buffer and it costs you less money to send them Japanese yen, it's a win for you. It's a very simple win. They get the exact amount of Japanese yen that they were looking for so that their margins are protected. You pay less money because you're not paying to hedge their foreign currency exposure by paying that buffer. I just want to pause for a minute, see if any questions pop up on that piece, because it's really important. Oftentimes in the U.S., people receive the U.S. dollar invoice and they think simple, clear, send the dollar amount. But that point of the potential of a buffer being built in is key, and it's something that everyone should consider. And using our platform as a tool to potentially pay less if a buffer is built in, all while earning membership reward points, is something that should be strongly considered. Okay, no questions popped up on that. So I just want to show a couple more things on this platform. I know we had left a fair amount of time for Q&A, but at the same time I want to get through this and show you some of the other features. I talked a bit about forward contracts, essentially allowing you to lock in rates and currency to use at a later date for either an outgoing or incoming payment. I just want to show you the simplicity of doing so. So on our platform here, if you wanted to lock in a certain amount of euro, you simply tell us how much you would like to lock in, and you can go up to out 1 year. So we will give you a quote based on that. And it's telling me that I'm trying to quote too much. I have to make a call about that after this. So I have a question here, actually, I want to get to right now. Can you talk about some success stories on that feature? Is that feature we're referring to forward contracts? I will go with forward contracts for now until I see something pop up. So yeah, without getting too specific, I can talk about success stories. We have a large number of clients. I'll speak specifically about wine importers that are heavily tied to the euro. So our goal is to fully understand the needs of our clients. When we see dips in currency or we see record lows, we certainly can't predict the future, nor can we give advice. But when we see moves in certain currencies, and we know clients have an ongoing need for these specific currencies, it's our job and our goal to keep in close contact and let them know what the currency is doing at the moment. So I would say about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, the euro hit some lows for quite some time. And at that time, both the account managers here and the sales folks would reach out to our client base and simply advise them of what the rate is now, what it was in the past, and just give them very general information, because we're not asking you to lock in a payment. We simply want to keep you informed. But people that do take advantage, or that did take advantage, if the market is to, let's say, move in the favor of the euro appreciating, they are then going to have locked in at a lower rate for future use. So when they're buying the product overseas, they're buying it at lower than what the current market rate is. I don't want to get into very specific examples, but there are a number of them. And there's the other side of the coin, where people buy at a certain rate, and when they go to use it, it may not be as favorable, the rate that they purchased at. However, what they did at that point was fix their costs, which makes things very good on the accounting side, and it has in their head a total amount that a transaction will cost for them. Same can be done with incoming wires and incoming forward contracts. So incoming forward contracts allow you to sell a certain amount of currency because you know you're going to be receiving it, and to protect your margin on those. So it helps you to price your products overseas in foreign currency, to lock in that cost, so that when you receive those euros, you know you are going to get X amount of US dollars. It essentially is fixing the amount of funds that you will receive in US dollars once you lock into that contract. So outside of forward contracts and your basic spot payment, the platform really does have a full suite of reports. It allows you to look at anything and everything that you've ever done. Additionally, it allows you to run audit trails, so any authorized user on your account will leave a digital fingerprint on anything that they do in the platform. So if ever you wanted to look at a specific day or a specific transaction, you will be able to look in the system and see exactly who has done what. Additionally, you can export any transaction that you've done in a specific time frame, and you can have it in an Excel file, which is very nice to change into a CSV file and upload into your ERP, or you can have it in a PDF format, which I'm told accountants like. So you have a lot of options there. But when it comes down to it, you're going to be living in this space here. You're going to be creating your payments and using this tool to get the most cost-effective options for the invoices that you receive. And I really strongly encourage people to ask their overseas suppliers to be invoiced in both US dollars and their local currency to make sure you're getting the best deal possible. So that concludes my piece on the platform itself. But I want to pause just for any questions that come in on the platform, the functionality of it, anything along those lines. It is a very short presentation on the platform, but that's by design because it's a very simple platform to use. Are there templates, reports to pull from? I think when you're referring to templates, you're speaking of the beneficiaries that would be stored in the system. What I will say is, once you enter in a beneficiary or a supplier, the first time you entered it, it's going to be stored for the life of the account. So the next time you go to make a payment to a specific supplier, when you select your currency here, any supplier or beneficiary or template that has been created will be stacked here. So you'll never have to enter in that information again. You would simply click on it and all the information will be updated to the right side here. Is it possible to draw funds from a window forward online? Good question. So the way a window forward contract would work is, if you're saying draw funds, it would be an incoming window forward, and upon receipt of those funds, you can, or in anticipation of those funds coming in, you can begin the drawdown process. So you can go to your existing incoming forward contracts, and you would have a list of them here. And you can build a transaction, because there are none in here, I won't be able to do so, but you can build a transaction to draw down off of an existing window forward contract. You can also reach out directly to our desk and do it over the phone, but absolutely you could do that online. That's a great question. All right. I don't see any other questions coming in regarding the demo and the platform. I'm going to move back to the presentation, so bear with me one moment here. So for those of you that see value in this service, see value in the membership reward points, the hands-on customer service that we can offer, what we do is we provide the Global Chamber with a portal that they can enter in your information, and you would reach out and speak to one of our sales representatives here. So I would encourage you to reach out to Doug and Cesar to schedule time with us. Once again, we like to take on a very consultative approach, so you're not coming into an environment where you need to feel sold, but pick our brain. Request someone reach out to you, have a conversation with them, talk about your current needs, talk about it, maybe pain points or things that are going well, and see if we can add value in any way. Allow us to give you the chance to earn membership reward points on these payments that you either have to send out or receive anyways, and we're going to give access to the great rates and the great customer service that we offer. These are a few of our sample customers. Not going to spend too much time on this, but it does just show you that the average membership reward points that they earn, the different industry sectors that we deal with. So Global Chamber London, who would our contact be at American Express? Is it one person backed up, or would it be handled by a pool of people? So I would go to Doug and Cesar on that, but what I would say is I would be a part of your main contact group, and then someone on my team would be a contact in terms of an interested customer or an interested prospect. So Doug and Cesar would be your point of contact to get that information over to us, and from there we would reach out. But what I'll do is, after this call, I'll share my contact details, so when you do have questions or if you want to dive in a bit more to any of this, you reach out to me directly. Okay. And that brings us to the end. So I know I covered off on a lot. I talked about the potential value of looking at foreign currency versus US dollars. Also, a very key takeaway is incoming wires, specifically incoming foreign currency wires. one, what offering that to your client base can do, all while earning you membership reward points, but also for those of you that are already receiving wires in foreign currency, our goal is to give you a level of transparency that you haven't seen before, additionally earning membership reward points. So I would say keep those things in mind, but if nothing else, please do reach out to your suppliers and speak to them about receiving invoices in both the local currency and US dollars, because there's no harm in doing so. There's only a potential upside for you. What are my views of currency versus dollars going forward? Well, that is a heavy question. I will say, so having been in the currency market for 13 years, I'm limited in what I can say towards advice and what I predict. And at the end of the day, the old adage is you could tell half the people that you talk to that a currency is going to go up versus the dollar and the other half that it's going to go down, and you'll be right 50% of the time. What I would say is when I look at currency for our client base, it's very transactional. So what you want to do is make sure that you protect your margins and you take advantage of the tools that you have available to you, so that regardless of what happens in these currency markets, you and your business are safe and protected, whether that be forward contracts, whether that be working very closely with your contact here so you know what's going on in the market. That's what my view on it is. Having seized the highs and the lows and the volatility given the current geopolitical environment, I would say that currency isn't something that I would use as an investment vehicle, more so something that is a necessary part of my business. So I think of it purely transactional, and from my consultative side, I think of ways that we can help you protect margins. So I know I kind of skirted around that question, but that's truly how I feel about it. What do we recommend for us to stay on top of currency changes? So it really depends. We have a client base that some are heavily invested because look at a wine importer, they're so heavily tied to the euro that they do stay on top of it. I would think like anything else that affects your business, any other outside factor that affects your business, you should look at foreign currency as one of those, especially when you have upcoming needs or defined needs. And when you have these defined needs, you should do something to make sure that you are protecting yourself in the business. And sometimes there are good options, sometimes there aren't, but at least use the resources that you have. Reach out to a contact at American Express or get in touch with the folks at Global Chamber and get your information to us so that you have somebody who has industry knowledge. I'm sitting in the tower today and I'm looking at our account managers and our traders, and we have bank traders that have been in this market for much longer than I have. So use those resources. Once again, it's a free non-contractual service, so gain access to it. With all our distributors and agents, would all our distributors and agents require their own account too? So anyone who is utilizing the American Express International Payment Service would have to have an account. So my group specifically deals with U.S.-based businesses that would have a U.S.-based checking account. That would be the funding method for these transactions. But yes, each business would have their own individual account, and that would give them access to get quotes, to run reports, and do anything else that one would in a platform. So yes, they would all have their own accounts. Additionally, they would provide us with a card that they would earn their specific membership reward points on. Let me scroll down just a bit. Is there a minimum volume requirement per year to work with Amex? Excellent question. No, there is not. Foreign currency needs are often ever-changing, so there is no high or low side. We have clients that do a couple thousand a month. We have clients that do tens of millions. So there is no minimum volume requirement. It's open for everybody to use the service, and it's open for everybody to earn membership reward points on these foreign currency transfers. What is Amex working on to continue improving the system? Will blockchain impact this system, and how? Wow. Love talking about blockchain. So Amex is absolutely continuing to improve their system. What I can say regarding blockchain is there was a published news announcement that spoke about American Express and how we are utilizing blockchain technology in our payments in our payment space, I'll say. The impact that it's going to have, it's probably too soon to talk about. However, I will say that we're at the forefront of the evolution of the payments industry. So you're going to see continued improvements on both the client experience, the platform, in addition to that, the delivery of payments and cost-effective options when it comes to delivering payments. All right, I see a webinar chat question. When the provider invoices us in their local currency and dollars, should they do the calculation of the local currency on that day? Would you recommend it even if the other currency is very volatile? It's a good question. So when I talk about your supplier invoicing you in both US dollars and their local currency, how they choose to do that calculation probably won't be driven by the buyer side or by anyone else. They're going to choose how they do that calculation. What we found is that most suppliers know how much they want in their local currency. That's generally where they generate the cost of their product and how they are able to calculate how much they need to mark it up to secure certain margins to keep the lights on and to generate revenue. So I think they will be the ones that are steering that ship. However, if it's a volatile currency, it's still worth the ask, because when they price it at that time and when you receive that invoice, you have the tool to go in and lock it in, and they'll receive the exact amount that they want. As a matter of fact, if it's a volatile currency, they may find the need to build in a higher buffer to hedge their risk against selling the US dollars to gain that currency. I can't speak to it for sure because every business is different, but I think a volatile currency is actually a good chance for potential savings in getting invoiced in dollars and currency. Global Trader London. Certain currencies not available in the system? So you mentioned Africa. The currencies that generally you will not see in our system are ones that you would not see with any bank or any provider because they're sanctioned by the U.S. government. There are some regions that present challenges. With Africa, I know for sure that we deal with the Central African franc. If you had specific examples, I can look them up in our system as well. But we absolutely do deliver payments to Africa. It does depend on the region and the currency. There are a few that are sanctioned, so it would be based on that. Yes. Do we communicate currency trends, and what have we found to be the best sources of trends? So we speak less to trends because that would almost fall into the realm of giving advice. But what we talk more so about is what the currencies are doing compared to their historical movements. And then we also talk about upcoming news announcements. We talk about things that may impact currencies. Now, the impact could be positive or negative, and that's the side that we wouldn't get into. But we do have market commentary available that's sent out on a case-by-case basis to clients who request it. In addition to that, we have our account development team and our account management team that is a wealth of knowledge resources because they've been in the industry so long. So that one-on-one hands-on approach is what's going to give you access to this. As opposed to a very basic email that one could probably pull up online, you can call our team and you can talk to the different folks on that team about what they're seeing in the marketplace. Now, I can tell you outright they're not going to say the euro is going to go up or down. That's not our game, but we do have the resources to tell you what is upcoming and potential impacts. So how many of our clients are in the UK and Europe? We actually have a separate division in the UK, and that is all under the American Express International Payments Group, but they are not in my realm of responsibility. So all I can speak to is the US-based American Express business, but we do have a large presence in the UK. And it may be something that we explore a partnership with as well, because I have contacts there that we can put you in touch with for the UK-based clients. Cryptocurrencies, we do not offer. They've been in the news. They're a hot topic, obviously, but that is not something that we are in the business of. Great question. We still have some time left, so feel free to keep the questions coming. What about Canada? Who handles that? So at the time, we do not have a Canadian-based business. We do offer wires to Canada, Mexico. We have no issue dealing with those countries, but those would be for US-based businesses. At the time, we don't have international payments from American Express presence in those regions. All right. Well, we did excellent on time. I truly appreciate all the questions. They were great questions. I appreciate everyone for joining today. Yes, more questions. Do you offer same-day delivery, and if so, which currencies? Same-day delivery is offered. It's not our standard offering. The currency markets generally operate on a trade date +2. We generally operate on a, depending on the currency, trade date +1, so next day delivery. We do have the potential for same-day delivery on certain currencies with very specific cutoff times based on East Coast timing. The currencies that we offer this on are essentially the majors, but I think there may be some exclusions there. So what I can do is if you want to reach out, or if you want to go through the channel of Doug and Cesar, I can get you a list of the currencies that we offer for same-day delivery with the specific cutoff times as well. But it is an option. If it's something we can do, we'll absolutely do it for you. What is the onboarding required to work with Amex? Excellent. So what we have is an online application. Essentially, it's going to capture the essential information that we need to run our KYC due diligence. The onboarding time can range from 2 to 5, 6 business days. Essentially, what we're going to ask for is key points of contact. We're going to ask about the ownership of the business. We're going to ask about the users that are going to have access to it, the payment needs, and in order to set a sufficient limit, we will ask for financials as well. And they're not required. They just help with the speed of delivery. So we would ask for your most recent 2 years of tax returns or audited financial statements. The online application itself does take, I would say, 3 to 5 minutes to complete.
Andy and Dylan, thank you so much for handling a lot of questions today and a lot of really great information. I'll watch for more from everyone. Thank you for everybody participating. Gentlemen, thank you very much.